couple of days ago, I put out a tweet to some fantasy football experts asking for their advice ahead of the Euro 2024 fantasy game. And in this video, I'm going to share that advice with you. So first up, I've got a tweet from FPL Sports Science. Some of you will probably already know and see Tassam from Twitter. He has said that using betting odds to determine how likely players are to potentially score or a team is to keep a clean sheet. That's a really good way to play the game because ultimately they probably know better than you do. The betting industry is massive, right? Millions and millions of pounds used to develop algorithms to predict outcomes of games so betting companies make money. I completely agree with Sam here. I've got a couple of sources of information that you might find helpful. First of all, I'm not condoning gambling in any way. But the Bet365 website, I just went a quick look on their top goal scorer odds. I mean, any other betting provider is applicable for this, really. They've got Kylian Mbappe, most likely top scorer of the tournament, Harry Kane, Ronaldo, Bellingham, Lukaku, Giroud, Foden, Griezmann, Morata, Bukayo Saka, Ramos of Portugal, and Musiala of Germany. Those are their top sort of odds for top goal scorers, basically. You know, if you want to pick players in your team, you want to be picking those that are most likely to finish as top goal scorers in the tournament, right? So some of these players are going to be worth picking. And that leads me on to another fantastic resource that's gotten in touch with me, and very happy to collaborate with them on this video, Elvenify. I'll leave a link to Elvenify in the description. Absolutely fantastic resource over multiple international competitions. Now, it's not just Euro 2024 they've done previous international tournaments producing similar data, and yeah, it's been an absolute godsend for me. Helped me win some money in fantasy football games using their sort of predicted goals and clean sheets algorithms. So what they've done basically is that this is a sheet. You can go on their website and see it yourself, but this is predicted goals in each match day of the group stage for each nation. And you can see it's rounded off, well, ordered by total goals across the group stage. You can see England are expected to be the top scoring team in the group stages, followed by Portugal, Germany, France, Belgium, Spain, Netherlands, Italy. I mean, you can see all the teams there. I won't go through in too much detail. But again, similar to the top goal scorer odds from, you know, the betting companies, this will give you an idea of the top teams that are predicted to create the most chances, score the most goals, and the teams you want to be picking players from. And in the same sort of token as predicted goals, they've also predicted clean sheets for each match day. You can see their total clean sheets. This is ordered by that, and you can see, I'm not going to go through in each detail, but you can pause this video on this spreadsheet or look on the website yourself. And basically, depending on what your chip strategy is, the players you want to pick, etc., it will help you understand the best players to pick for each match day, defenders at least, and goalkeepers, of course, for their odds of clean sheets. It suggests across the group stages, in fact, England are the most likely team to keep the most clean sheets. They're predicted to get 1.3 clean sheets across the group stages. Belgium in close second. Germany, Portugal, Spain, France, Italy, Croatia. Not expected to be a whole lot between all of those teams, but it's just really useful to see them in order. So, for example, it's looking like Italy defence for match day 1 have got the highest clean sheet odds. They play Albania. And then match day 2, they've got a tougher fixture, only 18%. So it looks like you could potentially start with an Italy defender and look to transfer them out for maybe a Croatian defender, 52% clean sheet odds in match day 2. Looking at that, that could be a really good player. Likewise, Netherlands, 39% for a clean sheet in match day 1. I know Virgil van Dijk's going to be really popular, but then they play France in match day 2, only 13% to keep a clean sheet there. So, you know, kind of gives you an idea of potential transfer plans between defenders depending on their likelihood of keeping clean sheets. Wanted to use this little segment to shout out some other FPL YouTubers, or I say FPL fantasy football YouTubers that have been making some really good Euros content. FPL Tom tweeted me, he said, watch content creators, watch football games, and remember to enjoy the tournament. I couldn't agree more with FPL Tom, and I just wanted to use this little segment to plug a few other content creators that I've been watching over this journey to build up a team for the Euros. FPL Fran, he had, I believe, a top 500 finish in FPL this season, so absolutely fantastic FPL player. And that's definitely going to translate across to the Euros game. He's done some fantastic videos going through each position, the top players to pick. It's a great channel. I'd recommend you check him out. I'll put a link to Fran's channel in the description. FF Bobby, both on YouTube and Twitter, has put out some really, really useful information regarding all the teams, all the fixtures. He's got a fantastic video about the most ball recoveries, you know, players that are really good for ball recoveries. I've not seen a video like that made by anyone else so far. So Bobby has got some really, really good Euros content. To be honest, if you're watching this video, you probably would have already watched a Bobby video. And then FPL Tom, a good mate of mine, makes quite similar videos to me, I guess, but they are absolutely fantastic and yeah, just really good and useful videos from Tom. So I definitely recommend you check him out too. Okay, FPL Shenanigans. I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, but he is one of the most winningest, if that's a correct term, fantasy football players I know. He heavily plays a game called Fan Team, which is basically FPL, but a bit more gambling related, where you win money, and he's very successful on that game. He says, get punty in the group stage. Everyone will have a similar team from the quarterfinals onwards. Obviously, the big teams will go through, and most people will pick kind of the talisman from the big teams, right? So he has in mind that the big gains are going to be made now. So kind of agree with him, really. If you want to win these games, I think the time to punt is sort of from the off. And my mind, a punt is not necessarily making your team absolutely full 11 players that are differential. Maybe just having one or two that not a lot of other people have that you predict can do well, alongside all the other big hitters that are heavily owned. I think that's a really smart way of playing it, because in my mind, the punishment of not having some of these big players and them doing well is far more than the reward of you picking someone else. And obviously the big players not doing so well. So for me, the likes of Kane, Lukaku, Ronaldo and Mbappe kind of lock-ins. Outside of them, though, I definitely think there are ways to make punts and gain advantages. And, well, this man's done all right playing fantasy football, so I'd listen to what he has to say. Next up, I've got a tweet from Fabrizio. No, I'm joking. It's from Golden Goal FF. I wanted to stick one in there just around, really, something I find really useful in fantasy football, not just in the international games, but Premier League-based games as well. It's just learning the set piece and penalty takers and trying to fill your team with as many as possible. And what I've done next is I've basically put a graphic in of all the set piece takers for each team. And I'm going to spend the next couple of minutes going through it. Feel free to skip if you don't want to hear me read through all of them. So yeah, Group A, Germany. On pens is Gundogan. Free kicks is Tony Kroos. Corners is Kroos and Kimmich. They could potentially share them. Scotland, I believe the penalty taker is John McGinn. And then free kicks and corners are shared quite drastically, really, between Robertson, Christie and McGinn. So a little bit unsure as to, there isn't really a locked-in free kick taker and corner taker for Scotland. But penalties, it should be John McGinn. Hungary, Dominik Szoboszlai, Liverpool takes absolutely everything. He's on pens, free kicks and corners. That real talisman role that I like picking in this game. He's in my team currently. Switzerland, on pens is Shaqiri. Free kicks is shared, I think, between Shaqiri and Xhaka. I think if Shaqiri's not on the pitch, which he could have a bit more limited minutes than previous tournaments, just given his age and the fact he's not necessarily playing like top European football anymore, we could see Xhaka take up pens when Shaqiri's not on the pitch. For Spain, I believe I've heard that the penalty taker is Rodri, although previous tournaments it has been Morata. I do think Rodri is the first choice goalkeeper, but you've got to think Morata is just in there as an option as well. Free kicks and corners are going to be shared by Dani Olmo and Grimaldo. Croatia, the penalty taker is Modric. Free kicks and corners are shared by both him and Perisic. Italy, there's a bit of drama around who is the first choice penalty taker for Italy at the moment. I believe Jorginho has missed his last 4 for Italy when he's taken them internationally. And the manager has said as a result, he's no longer the penalty taker, and it's probably going to be Chiesa. I just have a feeling that Jorginho is going to stay on penalties. But yeah, we'll find out as the tournament goes on. That's the news we have. So it's Chiesa or Jorginho. Free kicks, DiMarco, Barella and Chiesa will share those sort of opportunities, and corners, it's between DiMarco and Barella. One thing this kind of points out to me is that DiMarco potentially being on free kicks and corners, being a super attacking wingback with Albania first up, top clean sheet odds. He's a good option, right? Albania, I'm going to apologise for butchering some of these names. Chikaleshi and Broja. Broja will share penalty duties for Albania. Depends, obviously, if Broja plays. I don't think he's in the game currently. Asani will take free kicks and corners for them. Right, whiz through Group C and Group D. Slovenia, Sesko on pens. Serin on free kicks and corners. Denmark, Eriksson takes the pens, free kicks and corners. But we know, we saw against England, Damsgaard can take a hell of a free kick. So he will probably get some. For Serbia, Mitrovic is the penalty taker. Tadic takes the free kicks and corners. And for England, the only thing I would actually say is locked down at the moment is Kane on penalties. Free kick and corner taker, I'm really not sure on. Rice has been taking them for Arsenal this season and done a really good job with it. Trent's in the squad, but it's not 100% guaranteed he's going to play. it's really hard for me to predict. Well, anyone really to predict who's going to be the free kick and corner taker for England, I think. But we know, nailed on, Harry Kane is on penalties. For Poland, Lewandowski takes both pens and free kicks. On corners is Zielinski. For Holland, VVD, Virgil van Dijk and Depay are potential penalty takers. Koeman said that Van Dijk was his first choice penalty taker, but that was when Depay was not playing in his squad. Depay has previously always been the Netherlands' first choice penalty taker in previous tournaments and just in years gone by. So yeah, I just add a little question mark if Depay will take one when Van Dijk's on the pitch. But the latest quote we have from Koeman is that Van Dijk is his penalty taker. Veerman will take both corners and free kicks. For Austria, Sabitzer is the penalty and first choice free kick taker. Wimmer is like a backup free kick taker, I guess, second choice. And on corners is a mixture of Schmid and Sabitzer. For France, Mbappe on penalties, as we know. Griezmann on corners and free kicks. Right, final groups. Belgium, Lukaku's your pen taker. Kevin De Bruyne on corners and free kicks. Duda is the pen taker for Slovakia. Haraslin is the free kick and corner taker. Penalties is a mixture between Marin, I don't know his first name, begins with an R. There's an M Marin and an R Marin for Romania. R Marin is the pen taker alongside Stanchu, and Hadji takes the free kicks and corners. Dovbyk is the penalty taker for Ukraine, and on free kicks in corners is likely Zinchenko. Çalhanoğlu takes the pens, free kicks and corners for Turkey. A real talisman. I just slightly ask questions as to how many goals do you actually think Turkey are going to score. Kvaratskhelia, I'm pretty sure is how you pronounce that name. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. He's on pens, free kicks and corners for Georgia. For Portugal, I put Bruno and Ronaldo sort of next to each other for corners, penalties and free kicks, sorry. I think Bruno will take them when Ronaldo's not on the pitch, but we all know how selfish Ronaldo is with those, so I think he's going to take both of them when he's on the pitch. Quite how many minutes he gets this tournament, I just ask a little question about, which is why I put Bruno in there as a factor. Then on corners, it's Bruno and Bernardo Silva. And finally for Czechia, Schick and Souček are apparent penalty takers. I have a feeling it's going to be Schick as first choice. Penalties, heard it's Souček, and Kusej, yeah, pretty sure that's how you say it, is the corner taker. And finally, I wanted to end on a point from Ben SkyFF, good mate of mine, Ben. Number one always is just enjoy the game and don't let fantasy football ruin your enjoyment of football. And I did a little piece. I actually made a video on FPL and mental health, which I'll try and dig out and leave in the description as well. But ultimately, when you play these games, right, I know I'm saying this as a guy who makes a little bit of money talking about fantasy football on YouTube, but at the end of the day, fantasy football does not matter. There are far more important things in life than a game where imaginary, shirts on a screen score points, right? We all know that. Family, friends, all that kind of thing, much more important than fantasy football. And I just thought I'd share a couple of tips I've picked up as well, basically, is just developing some basic coping mechanisms when you have a bad day in fantasy football. Staying off social media, going out for a walk, doing some exercise, just doing an activity that you enjoy that takes your mind off things, right? That's kind of what I'm talking about there. And just remembering the game is meant to supplement your enjoyment of the tournament, right? International football competitions, they're not so rare anymore. They come around every couple of years if you're in Europe or South America or whatever, but they're meant to be fun, and these games are meant to supplement your enjoyment. So enjoy the football, focus less on focus on enjoying the fantasy football game, but focus more on enjoying the football than actually playing the fantasy game. And I think one thing is important is to accept that throughout the course of the game, you're going to get both some good luck, probably, and some bad luck as well. And that's just the nature of fantasy football. You can't kick yourself too much if you get unlucky, because ultimately football is inherently, and sports in general, is inherently unpredictable, right? You're banking points on players that you have no control over, outcomes that you have no influence in, right? So yeah, just bear that in mind, basically. You're going to get lucky, you're going to get unlucky. Just roll with the punches and play the game. That's all I've got to say on it. And again, just rounding off the video, I've got a mini league. The code is on screen there if you want to join the Golden Goal mini league. And again, there'll be a lot of links in this description, but I'll leave a link to join. There's a joining link where you just have to click one button and it'll let you in the league. I'll leave that in the description as well. All right, and that's the end of the video. I just wanted to thank everyone that responded to my tweet and gave some advice there. And I hope that you guys all find it useful as well. If you did, let me know in the comments. And to be honest, if you have any other advice that you'd like to pass on to other players as well, please do let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video and found it useful, leave me a like rating. And if you want to stick around, I'll have plenty more Euros fantasy football content coming out before and during the competition actually kicking off. you can subscribe to the Goal and Goal channel, which should be just there on your screen. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in my next video.